Welcome to the Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is the Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. It's Murder May, but it's June. I'm your host, Carson Phillips, here with Daniel Garza. Today we are covering a movie that I personally really enjoy, Memories of Murder. And yeah, here we go.
Sweet, guys. Now, let's talk about it.
Why did you say it like that?
Because I
let's
forgot
talk
to
about
pull
it.
up the IMDb.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, this film is directed by the Korean filmmaker Bong Joon Ho, who, if I said that right, I could have said it wrong, but he directed Parasite, Mickey 17, Okja, among other films, but this is one of his earlier films, and it's a film that I think is really good.
Yeah, okay. In a small Korean province in 1986, two detectives struggle with the case of multiple young women being found raped and murdered by an unknown culprit.
I hate that, like, the censorship of YouTube and, like, TikTok and stuff makes us have to use words that make horrible things sound stupid.
Like, sound goofy.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, that is the log line. I guess the only little bit I'd like to add about the plot is that this kind of, I think you mentioned it's procedural crime story. It is partially inspired by the first confirmed serial killings in Korea from 1986 to, I believe, 1991. And there's more on that as well that I'll talk about later in this review. But yeah, this is just kind of the backdrop. It was inspired by these unsolved murders, and it's not a direct. It's inspired by, not based
but it's not
on,
like,
I guess, if that makes sense.
Trying to retell
Like Psycho.
that story. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's get into our likes and dislikes. You want to go first or me?
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Go for it.
All right, cool.
I want to know what your thoughts are.
Okay, so I will say I do like this movie.
Okay.
The first things I'm going to say are always aesthetic for me. So I love the darkness of it. I love the contrast of it. I love a lot of rain. It just feels like a dark movie, and it makes it actually feel more like, I don't know why, but Mist always feels like a good set for murder. So like in Zodiac, which this kind of feels like a Zodiac style.
It feels a lot like
movie.
Zodiac.
Yeah, because it's more focused right on the detectives and the inspector. What is that his title?
Constable? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like a detective.
So
they have a different system at this time period
Right.
over there. I don't fully understand it. So
No, I think that this movie is really well done. It's got all of those cool things, and when there is like music, that music slaps so hard. Like
it's like orchestral.
Yeah, like
almost
even
classic
the
music a little
ending,
bit.
I was like freaking gripping. I was like, oh my God, what's about to happen? So I really liked all those aesthetic pieces. Secondary, I love the two contrasting characters, our leads. What is their names? It's Song Kang Ho and Kim Sang Kung. So the two detectives.
You have like a city slicker detective from Seoul who's a little bit more by the book.
Yeah.
He's probably more of a good detective.
And the other one who's more of a feeling.
Yeah, he's like feeling. He uses this like shamanistic thing where he like stares in your eyes to see if you're the killer. Those are the kind of two. He's kind of more bumbling though. He's kind of like an idiot for most of the movie.
So I thought those two character like separations were really well done, especially when they do a lot of the interrogations. Like you can really see the difference in them, and then as the story progresses, you can see how each of their styles is kind of becoming unraveled throughout the movie, and to where you see the one who is more of the by the book is really unraveled because this final murder is hitting close to home for him, and then the other one who, no spoilers here, but he essentially just does something by the book because they don't actually have the evidence. You can see they don't switch completely, but they almost switch, which I thought was
they kind of adapt the others.
Right. And I just
ways.
thought in terms of character arc, that was so clean. I was like, I love that. It was chef's kiss right there. And then the overall story, I think, was it made me so mad that I loved it, but it was the fact that, like, kind of like the true story. We'll get into this later. I think you're going to say the same thing that I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Or that I was thinking. Is that they don't actually know what happens. And so I think that was, there's so much tension buildup that once you end there, you're like, it's almost like you take like a gasp because you can't really have relief. But at the same time, you're like, this is real life. And I don't know. Yeah. I felt really grounded to this movie. And those are all my likes. That's kind of what I got.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you with all of that. And like how you were saying, like the first thing that stood out is the visuals. Mm-hmm. This movie's really pretty to look at. It has like, we're in like rural Korea. So it has like this unique look where it's like all these fields. There's even like a little bit of mountains in the background, but it's mostly fields and like farmland. And it's pretty empty. There's not a lot of people around.
Yeah.
And I just like that visually. Like it made me want to go there and check it out and like visit. And then at the same time, too, like Daniel was saying, like the soundtrack is a major standout. It builds a lot of tension, especially at the end there when you have the rain coming down and like a character's about to make a horrible decision potentially. Mm-hmm. So very intense. And the fact that it's used like sparingly, I think makes for a better film. There's also the fact that the killer calls into the radio station to have a specific song played, or the alleged killer calls into the radio station. And that's just such a creepy like thing. To me, like it's raining and then there's a specific song playing.
Yeah.
That's freaky to me. I liked that addition though. It kind of reminds me of like, you know, maybe like a noir film would have something like that. This wasn't quite noir, but it's similar enough. Yeah, I also just think the way the film, it almost feels like existential, especially towards the end of the film with some of the choices that are made, where it makes you think like, yeah, there are these disturbed people out there and we don't know who they are. And then the killer at one point is described as being like a very normal looking guy, like just a normal, ordinary person. And that freaks me out a little bit because usually they're very normal people. It could be anyone you know, which is scary. And I also just want to say too, like, I know the director, obviously like Parasite, he's doing a lot more social commentary. Mm-hmm. And this kind of, you can kind of see he's doing social commentary a little bit, especially with the background of like there's like some protests and some like social issues going on that I don't know the Korean history that well, so I can't really speak on that, but it's interesting to frame that in a, you know, detective film. Especially there seems to be like tension against like detectives in general, like some of the cops sucking, so like like there's like a news frame and then there's like one detective in this who's like a little maybe he just double kicks people all the time. He just jumps across the room and kicks people constantly, which is kind of funny, but also bad. So, like, you see, like, that guy and, like, the actions of, like, his overzealousness, like, where that gets him. So, it's just kind of interesting, you know, subtext as well. But, yeah, I love this movie. It's definitely long. Also, I want to say there's, like, this black comedy aspect to it that might hit for some people and might not for others. I think it's pretty funny, weirdly enough, but I'm assuming Daniel might not like the comedy of this, but if you're in for that, like some random comedy in the middle of this super bleak, realistically depressing movie, then you're in for a treat. Also, the way they handle like the victims and stuff is super. I feel like they do it in a really respectful way. It's not like, oh, look how foul this murder was, but you'll feel sick still. Like you'll feel.
I was gonna say the last one really kind of got to me. That one hurt my heart. A lot.
That was intentional.
Like I was tearing up a little bit, and I just like
and the peach thing, the autopsy, the autopsy bothered me.
Yeah,
I watched this with Alyssa too, and she was like, "Yeah, that was such a fun movie to watch."
Thanks for that date night. I really only have 2 dislikes.
Okay.
For me, it's the pacing. The pacing of the movie is really tough for me. To where this was one of those movies where I legitimately was just like.
I mean, it doesn't pick up until like the end,
right?
Like the last,
and so I had to really rewind and push myself through it. So that was tough for me. Pacing for me is always kind of a movie killer, unless it's like genuinely great actors that I love. Like pacing could be so off, but I still love it. And then for me was the comedy. I just felt like the comedy was so out of place for this. It just felt so weird. Like, I get that it was like the chaos of the times, right? That we see it throughout the entire movie. There's a lot of chaos. But for me, the comedy, one, I didn't think it was funny. And then two, it just felt like out of place. So
I think part of that too is like Bong's films always have weird, offbeat comedy. And then some of it I'm assuming is cultural. Like if I was a Korean person or if I lived in Korea, maybe I'd get the humor more.
Yeah, sure.
But I've just I've just learned to accept that more.
Right.
Like I'm like, I know this is supposed to be funny and I like that it's supposed to be funny, but I don't get it, you know?
Yeah, for me the difference was I think that like even in Parasite, there's way more room for comedy and
it's more grounded
because it's
I think, too.
Family and like there's family dynamic in it. They're all kind of in this together. And I get it. There's like some camaraderie between all these guys, but at the same time, there wasn't that much.
No, they like hate each other.
Yeah, so it was just like it felt weird. But those are my only two dislikes.
I don't really have any dislikes, which is crazy.
The glaze is crazy.
I think this is better than Parasite, personally.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm a crime boy at heart.
Yeah, it is.
So I think it just speaks to all the things I enjoy.
Right, and I think the best part of the movie is that it's really from the lens of, and I guess maybe a lot of movies of crime are from the lens of the detectives, but this is an early like 2003 movie, and it's like pretty well done from like a battle within. And as well as trying to catch up. Like, these guys love the hunt for getting this killer, right? To the even do these kind of shady things.
Yeah. Well, all the angles they follow, too. You're like, oh, maybe that guy is the killer.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
like, I was convinced the kid with special needs when I first watched this. This is my second or third time. But when I...
the flex.
Chill. I watched all the special features this time, actually. No, but when the first time I watched this, I was convinced it was him. I was like, yeah, it's going to be that guy for sure. Yeah. It's obviously not, though. I was so stupid to think that. But, it's great.
Anyway, yeah. So I'll probably give this movie about a 3.5 out of 5. It was really good, but it's not my favorite. Would I watch it again? Probably, but it's not like a first go-to.
One thing, and if you were watching this review, you probably already know this, I'd assume, unless you're just like one of our diehard fans. The end of this movie, so spoilers for the ending without giving too much away. You don't find out who the killer is because the real killer wasn't found yet. Is this what you were going to talk about earlier?
Potentially, yeah.
So the main detective, he stares like right into the camera and like breaks the fourth wall. Pretty obviously, like pretty purposefully.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea behind that, or what people claim, is that he's doing his like shaman stare into the audience because realistically the real life killer this is based on is watching this movie potentially. And they actually did catch him like 16 years later, I think in like 2019 or something. And what happened is they asked him like, have you seen this movie? And he's like, yeah, I've seen it a few times. He's like, it didn't emotionally move me at all though. So it's kind of...
That's crazy. Kind of yeah, I knew that they caught up with the killer, but I didn't know any of that other stuff. But
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, it's more of a mind movie than anything. But I feel like a lot of these murder movies that we did this entire month kind of lead this way to where it's like we didn't get all of this like disgusting, gruesome stuff. It was more so a battle within. And I really kind of like these movies overall through the month, and kind of looking at it in a different way than, are they going to catch the killer?
What makes a good detective movie is the battle within.
The battle within. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of Murder May in June. So it's kind of like Christmas in Christmas
July.
In
Christmas
July,
in October.
Except for it's just Murder in June. Anyway, guys.
Should we do Christmas in July?
No.
We're not.
If you haven't, guys, go follow us on all of our channels. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Go subscribe, like. You can listen to us wherever there's a podcast available.
Yeah.
We are there. Give us a 5-star rating, or don't give us a 5-star rating. Just give us a rating. And let us know what you would like to see us review next. But until then, we will see you next week for another batch movie month something.
We're doing more movies,
We're doing more movies. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace. That's a Clean Slate.